Okay, Jane, overall I thought you did a great job. The one thing we need to pay attention to is make sure you signal well in advance of your turn. Okay?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Stockdale, a supervisor with the city. I just completed a field driver evaluation with an employee. We started these evaluations about a year ago as part of our new comprehensive safe driving program, and we've seen some positive results.
Our city has provided classroom driver training for a number of years. We have a good vehicle maintenance program and an accident review system. But in spite of our efforts, the frequency of vehicle accidents and the cost of insurance claims continued to rise.
Since we implemented our comprehensive safe driving program, which includes performing field driver evaluations, we have realized a number of benefits,
including fewer injuries to employees and the public, less damage to our vehicles and property, lower insurance premiums, and improved employee awareness of safe driving practices.
These benefits have saved our city a ton of money. The purpose of this video is to review the key components of a successful safe driving program, discuss the details of our field driver evaluations, and help you establish written guidelines in order to prevent vehicle accidents.
SRSA presents Implementing a Comprehensive Safe Driving Program. Our vehicle accident investigations showed that most preventable collisions were caused by at-risk behaviors of the driver. Most of us have probably developed some unsafe driving habits, and unless these practices are identified and corrected, we'll continue to repeat them day after day. Over time, these unsafe habits will increase the potential for a vehicle accident.
That's why we decided to take a proactive approach to detect and eliminate unsafe driving habits before an employee crashes a vehicle and injures himself or others. Our comprehensive safe driving program includes 7 main parts.
1. Checking motor vehicle records on new candidates for employment, as well as checking MVRs on all existing employees at least once a year. 2. Providing classroom training for employees to learn the knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed to safely operate motor vehicles. 3. Establishing an extensive preventive maintenance program that keeps all city vehicles in safe operating condition. 4. Performing detailed pre-trip and post-trip vehicle inspections. 5. Conducting field driver evaluations to observe driving skills and provide positive feedback on safe driving behaviors, as well as identify and correct unsafe driving habits. 6. Establishing a seatbelt monitoring program to ensure employees are wearing seatbelts when operating city vehicles. And 7. Convening the Accident Review Committee to determine the preventability of vehicle accidents according to our written guidelines. Before a new employee is hired for a driving position, we review their motor vehicle record, or MVR. We want to hire only safe drivers, so we have written policies that allow us to evaluate their driving records. If their MVR indicates a history of recent traffic violations, they may be eliminated as a candidate for employment.
For existing employees, we check their MVRs once a year. If their record shows multiple moving violations, we may require them to go through additional training or impose other consequences.
Part of our orientation program for new employees is to put them through an extensive driver training program. Classroom sessions cover the use of seat belts, speed limits, backing procedures, safe following distances, the right-of-way through intersections, and driving on ice and snow. We talk a great deal about minimizing distractions while driving and how to concentrate on your spatial awareness. We also review the key steps to follow if you're involved in an accident and discuss our accident reporting procedures. Our fleet shop has established an extensive preventive maintenance program. All city vehicles go through scheduled maintenance at certain intervals to keep them in safe operating condition. We keep the maintenance records for each vehicle in a specialized computer program. In addition to regularly scheduled maintenance, our program also tracks repairs and damage. Mechanical problems can happen without warning, so it's important to conduct a pre-trip inspection at the beginning of each shift. A small amount of time before you drive off can potentially save hours of downtime, minimize vehicle damage, and even prevent an accident. All pre-trip inspections should be completed before driving the vehicle. Commercial vehicle licensed drivers are required by law to conduct and document a more detailed pre-trip inspection on their vehicles. In addition, the DOT requires a post-trip inspection to check for problems that may have come up during the shift. We believe classroom training is a very important part of our safe driving program. But for best results, we found you need to combine classroom sessions with field driver evaluations.
We conduct field driver evaluations for all new employees and seasonal workers who have driving responsibilities. We also evaluate existing employees who have been involved in a preventable vehicle accident.
Since supervisors have day-to-day contact with their employees and are responsible for monitoring their safety, we've trained our supervisors and other qualified employees on how to conduct driver evaluations. Conducting a field driver evaluation is a simple process. First, you need to schedule the evaluation. You should allow about 30 minutes for each one. Gather the forms and make sure the appropriate vehicle is available on the day of the evaluation. Plan your route to include areas where the employee normally drives. Make sure the employee knows when and where to report. Take some time to explain the purpose of the evaluation. Let the employee know that you will observe their driving skills and offer safe driving tips. Put them at ease and let them know you are there to offer constructive feedback on their driving abilities. As you conduct the evaluation, review each item on the checklist and comment as appropriate. Review any specific hazards of the route. Encourage the employee to point out any hazards they observe along the way. Be quick to provide positive feedback to the employee for their safe driving behaviors. If they perform an at-risk behavior, point it out when it is safe to do so. If you observe an employee about to make a dangerous maneuver, provide an immediate warning and instruction. Coach them on improving their driving skills and provide safe driving tips. After the driver evaluation, summarize the positive behaviors you observed. Then review any at-risk driving behaviors and what the employee needs to do to improve. Thank them for participating and make sure you both sign and date the evaluation form. If significant problems or behaviors are noted, the employee may need additional training and a follow-up field evaluation. You'll want to keep the evaluation on file for future reference.
If an employee performs poorly during the evaluation process and we have serious doubts about their ability to safely drive a vehicle, we consult with the department manager and our human resources department about an appropriate course of action. Some people may not have the ability to operate a vehicle safely, and we have to address the issue.
An important part of our safe driving program is seatbelt monitoring. Seatbelts may not prevent an accident from happening, but they do reduce the severity of injuries for those who are in a collision. Seatbelts are required by Colorado state law, as well as our city's policy, and most employees wear them as a matter of habit. But we have a small percentage who resist wearing them for whatever reason. We stress the importance of seatbelt usage in our classroom training, but some people still don't get it. We have a form that we developed for use by our supervisors. As we come across employees in the field, supervisors and other employees check whether our drivers are wearing their seatbelts and note it on the form. Employees observed wearing their seatbelts are complimented and given a small reward as part of our safety incentive program. Those who don't are asked why, and their response is duly noted. If employees are observed repeatedly not wearing a seatbelt, they may be subject to disciplinary action. Most of our employees have bought into our safe driving program, and they often remind each other about safety. Nobody wants to be hurt in an accident because a fellow employee was driving unsafely. If they observe an at-risk behavior, such as not wearing a seatbelt, they point it out to the driver and encourage safe driving.
This is a great example of the positive safety culture we have established and promote in our city.
Nobody is 100% immune from accidents. It takes constant attention to the road and other vehicles to avoid collisions. Even though our claim frequency has been reduced considerably since we implemented our program, occasionally an employee is involved in a vehicle accident.
Hey, are you okay?
What's the deal? I mean, come on. What? Didn't you see the signal? I was stopped at the stop sign here.
When a vehicle accident occurs, you need to follow certain steps. These include call 911 or your local police and summon emergency medical care if needed. Remain at the scene and cooperate with the police. Have your license, registration, and proof of insurance available. Get the name, address, and insurance company of the other drivers involved and any witnesses. And don't admit liability. Report the accident as soon as possible to your supervisor or risk manager. Your city and insurance provider will investigate the accident and determine who was at fault. Soon after an accident, we convene our Accident Review Committee to determine its preventability. The driver is interviewed, and accident reports and witness statements are reviewed. If deemed preventable, according to our established guidelines, corrective measures may be recommended, such as additional training or participating in a field driver evaluation.
Vehicle collisions are typically the most frequent and costly of all claims in public entities, and it takes a comprehensive approach to prevent them from occurring. Through our 7-part Safe Driving program, our city has taken a proactive approach to preventing vehicle accidents and injuries.
Steve is a new employee just hired in our Public Works Department. We already cleared his MVR, and last week he completed a classroom training session. So today, I'll be conducting his field driver evaluation. I tried to put Steve at ease and explained that I would be observing him driving and offering some suggestions and tips on driving safely.
Great, sounds easy enough. Let's roll. Okay, well, we'll drive around town in just a few minutes, but first, we're going to conduct a pre-trip inspection.
Doesn't the city have a maintenance department that handles those type of things?
Yeah, sure, and they do a great job with our preventive maintenance program, but our driving policy requires that each driver perform a pre-trip inspection at the start of each shift.
Okay.
Okay?
I had Steve follow our written pre-trip inspection checklist. He checked the oil and other fluid levels. Next, he made sure the tires had adequate pressure. Then I helped Steve check the headlights, brake lights, and turn signals. He also tested the wipers and washer fluid. Lastly, the inside of the vehicle was checked for any loose items or trash.
Whoa, hold on there, cowboy. You just forgot an important step.
Oh yeah. Well, I always put it on before I drive off.
Steve, it's important to develop good driving habits, and a good habit is always to put on your seatbelt before you turn on the ignition.
Got it, dude.
Okay, let's go ahead and pull out here a little, and then tap the brakes to make sure they're working. Okay, now go ahead and turn the wheel back and forth just to make sure the steering feels okay.
Everything seems to be working fine.
Okay, now turn right here out of the parking lot and let's head down towards Elm Street.
Okay.
As we proceeded down the road, I reviewed the field driver evaluation checklist to assess Steve's driving abilities. The items I watched for included awareness of and adherence to the speed limit, ability to maintain proper following distances, spatial awareness, or the ability to see the big picture, recognition of hazards and the reaction to them, aggressive driving behavior, and ability to safely maneuver through intersections.
Okay, Steve, let's take a left here at this next intersection.
No problem, Joe. But when does this test get hard?
Like I said, I'm just observing how you drive.
As we approached the intersection, I noticed Steve did not scan all sides of the intersection for oncoming traffic or pedestrians. In addition, he didn't use his turn signal until we were almost into the intersection. After we safely cleared the corner, I pointed out these at-risk behaviors.
That was a pretty smooth turn, Steve, but you missed a couple things.
All I did was turn the corner.
Yeah, but did you notice the man standing at the corner? Did you notice the truck waiting to turn?
What truck?
Most importantly, you didn't flip on your turn signal until we were almost into the intersection. Intersection accidents are very common and can be deadly. If you don't signal well in advance, other drivers or pedestrians will not know your intentions. You should turn on your signal at least 100 feet before the turn.
Okay.
Steve acknowledged his mistake. For the remainder of the trip, he signaled well in advance and safely maneuvered through other intersections without incident. Hopefully, this will become a habit. I made a note on the evaluation so I can follow up and look for this behavior in the future. As we continued, I had Steve practice backing and parallel parking. He seemed pretty comfortable with these maneuvers, and I complimented him on his skills. It's important to provide positive reinforcement whenever possible.
Good job parallel parking, Steve. Now, do you remember the key points of safely backing up?
I do. We just discussed this in class last week.
Oh, that's great, but let's review.
Back up only when necessary. Try to park in a pull-through spot. Scan the area for hazards, such as posts, other vehicles, or pedestrians. Continually check all your mirrors. Look over both shoulders. When you're ready to move, back up very slowly, almost at a crawl. And whenever possible, use a spotter to guide you, using hand signals away from potential hazards. As we continued driving, Steve received a text message on his cell phone. I could tell he wanted to check it, but decided to ignore it, probably because I was in the vehicle.
Aren't you going to check that text message, Steve? Might be your girlfriend.
You're kidding me, right?
Yes, I am. But good job ignoring the temptation to check your phone while you're driving.
We discussed how distractions while driving are one of the leading causes of collisions. Talking to someone on the phone while driving takes your mind off the road where you should be focusing. And texting is even worse since you're trying to read, type, and drive all at the same time.
Colorado law prohibits drivers from text messaging while driving a motor vehicle, and people under the age of 18 are prohibited from all cell phone usage while driving. If you must do business on the phone, pull over and stop in a safe area.
Look at this idiot behind us. He's right on my tail.
Calm down, Steve. Just pull over in the right lane and let him pass.
Jerk!
Steve, that's not a safe way to handle these types of situations.
I explained to Steve that, unfortunately, a normal part of driving is putting up with aggressive drivers. If someone is tailgating you, the best thing to do is move over and let them pass. Getting in a battle of egos could intensify into road rage and lead to a serious accident.
Road rage is an all too common occurrence, and we need to avoid any confrontations. Besides, you're in a city vehicle, and we need to project a positive image.
Yeah, you're right. That's something I'll work on. But I hope he gets a ticket up ahead.
Me too.
We entered a residential area where pedestrians, including children, were present. Steve recognized the reduced speed limit, and when we approached a crosswalk, he slowed down, checked to see that no pedestrians were crossing, and then proceeded.
Hey, Joe, I have a question. Last week in driving class, we discussed covering your brake when going through intersections. What exactly did they mean by that?
Good question. When approaching a potentially hazardous situation, you want to take your foot off the gas and place it over the brake pedal. You're not pressing down on the pedal, but you're ready to brake in case a hazard suddenly appears.
Okay, that makes sense.
When we approached a crowded intersection, Steve stopped and waited for the people to cross. I reinforced the importance of stopping at the white line before a crosswalk. Once the crosswalk is clear of pedestrians, inch forward to look for other vehicles approaching the intersection. When traffic is clear, you can proceed. Then we came upon a newly constructed roundabout, and Steve got a little confused as to who had the right of way. I explained to him how cars entering the roundabout must yield to vehicles on their left. When all is clear, you can enter and proceed to your turn. But always maintain a slow speed and keep on the lookout for cars that may enter without yielding. As we concluded the evaluation, I felt Steve had a few items to work on, such as putting on his seatbelt, when to use his turn signals, and controlling his temper. But I think he understands safe driving principles.
When we do your follow-up evaluation, we'll check and see how you're doing on these unsafe behaviors.
I'll work on them. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Okay, good luck in your new job.
Take care.
Remember, drive safe. We conduct field driver evaluations for all our new employees and seasonal workers assigned to operate vehicles. If any of our existing employees are involved in a preventable accident, or if we receive reports of at-risk driving behaviors, we'll schedule a field driver evaluation with them as soon as possible.
Other city departments conduct evaluations too. Our police department field training officers ride along with our officers at least once a year to evaluate their driving skills. Police have a unique set of hazards to deal with while driving. Part of their job is to look for people breaking the law, so they're constantly scanning both sides of the road. They're also required to communicate with dispatch, so dealing with distractions are a part of the job. In addition, they must heed the normal hazards of the road and drive safely.
Many squad cars are equipped with computers. We had a serious accident when an officer was looking at the screen while driving. After the incident, the police department established a rule where computer usage was only to be performed when the car was parked in a safe location. The risk of another collision has been greatly reduced.
Many preventable collisions occur when police and fire personnel are responding to emergencies. The adrenaline starts pumping, and some responders forget to practice defensive driving techniques. All emergency responders go through specialized training to learn emergency driving techniques, and supervisors critique their skills in the field. They're taught to cover the brake when going through an intersection and be prepared to come to a complete stop if necessary. Running with lights and siren does not guarantee you will get the right-of-way on the roads. Our public works and other departments operate a lot of heavy equipment, and many employees are required to have a CDL. Employees are given special training in the operation of these vehicles. Supervisors have developed specialized checklists and conduct field evaluations for these drivers. Some equipment is only used periodically, so a refresher training course may be needed. Some drivers face special hazards from snow and icy conditions, mountain driving, and other hazards. Part of our classroom training emphasizes that braking distances increase on slick and steep roads, so we carefully analyze each route and note where downhill stops, intersections, sharp turns, and other hazards are present. Once drivers recognize these areas, they can decrease their speed before it's too late. For snowplow drivers, it's difficult to do evaluations during stormy weather, so we conduct dry runs during good weather. Routes are reviewed, as well as hazards and obstacles they may encounter.
Our city management recognizes that vehicle accidents are the most frequent and severe cause of loss. So we put a lot of time and effort into safe driving. The results in terms of reduced accident costs have been well worth our efforts. If we prevent one serious collision, the safety program costs are more than recovered by a reduction in vehicle damage, medical bills, and liability claims.
Let's review the 7 parts of our comprehensive safe driving program. 1. Checking motor vehicle records on new candidates for employment, as well as checking MVRs on all existing employees at least once a year. 2. Providing classroom training for employees to learn the knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed to safely operate motor vehicles. 3. Establishing an extensive preventive maintenance program that keeps all city vehicles in safe operating condition. 4. Performing detailed pre-trip and post-trip vehicle inspections. 5. Conducting field driver evaluations to observe driving skills and provide positive feedback on safe driving behaviors, as well as identify and correct unsafe driving habits. 6. Establishing a seatbelt monitoring program to ensure employees are wearing seatbelts when operating city vehicles. And 7. Convening the Accident Review Committee to determine the preventability of vehicle accidents according to our written guidelines.
By implementing a comprehensive safe driving program, you too will benefit from reduced injuries to employees and the public, less vehicle damage costs, and lower insurance premiums. So please, drive safely and don't forget to buckle up.